time and have the flexibility. So yeah, resignations are happening. This phase is going to stay for some time, mainly because employees have seen that how can they work with their own freedom.
Business face challenge all the time. Lately, however, the pace of change itself is accelerating and this will only continue. This means that the businesses need to do a better job of preparing themselves to face new kind of risks. Hello and welcome to the Honest Talk by Freak Folks. I'm Harsh Pandey. For this particular session, we have with us very special guest today, Mr. Rajnish Magan sir. He currently holds the position of Chief Financial Officer at Beumer India Private Limited. Mr. Rajnish Magan sir has over 30 years of professional experience in the areas of finance, account controlling, commercial function, risk management, and governance. During this period, he held different positions in various companies and now since the last 9 years worked as a CFO at Beumer India Private Limited, German MNC, and is responsible for Beumer in South Asia in countries India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal. He is also a founder member and treasurer of NGO Shiksha Kranti Foundation, which runs program on the upliftment of lesser privileged children by providing holistic education both directly and indirectly. So first of all, sir, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and actually agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thanks for having me on the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
we'll
sir.
have a good discussion.
It's our pleasure too. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is ever increasing volatility requires risk managers to be better prepared and evolve. Technology is moving our world at a hyper speed and most businesses are scrambling to keep pace from how they engage with customers to how they plan, respond, and position for the future. Everyday leaders, whether digital natives or business veterans, wake up to a new landscape and to new decision for which there are no precedents. So my very first request to you is to please explain our viewers the importance of better preparation and evolution in this ever increasing volatility.
Thanks. That's a very good question, Harsh. I think your question is pretty relevant in today's circumstances. So to answer your question, I'll divide it into two parts: the circumstances in the world pre-COVID and the post-COVID world.
Yes.
So in the pre-COVID world, already we were talking about world is very VUCA world because of the Brexit that was already happening pre-COVID, because of the sanctions which the US government was imposing on the China and trade barriers which were being created by the US with the China. So all that was already happening pre-COVID and it was a VUCA world. And those days, 2.5 years back, we could still have our enterprise risk management systems to take care of the business volatility.
Right.
Whatever was happening in the business, we used to call it if your systems are well designed, they perhaps could take care of that. But what has happened after 2019 is the world of the guard. And nobody had any clue or to be prepared to see what's coming in. It was all of a sudden jolt to the entire world, a big setback to the businesses across industries, especially across trading community and the hospitality and the service sector. So nobody was prepared. Whatever kind of risk management systems you may have within an organization, they can't take care of these systems. Because most of the things which is happening today in the COVID or the different waves of COVID cannot be predicted. Which wave of COVID would be, how much lethal are you going to have a shutdown in these waves? Because most of it is controlled from government. Shutdown, you may have shutdown, you may not have shutdown. One country is having shutdown, the other country is not having shutdown. Most of the companies rely on your global supply chain now.
Right.
So you are importing from one part of the world, exporting to other part of the world, and if the country you're importing country from where you're importing organization is closed due to COVID or manufacturing is not happening there or sources are not being performed there, then your business is impacted in your home country. So a lot of it also depends now post VUCA. It is every organization is living on a very dynamic risk management system now, which traditional systems cannot take care, and you need to have a lot of market information fed to you from all your supply chain sources, all your business sources, where your suppliers are located, where your customers are located. So you need to constantly work around this and develop your systems.
Indeed,
Most of
sir.
the organizations, yeah, could do in wave one, but a lot of organizations are better prepared now post wave one, especially in India and elsewhere also. I have seen countries are better prepared now.
Exactly. I think you have given a very great comparison, and I'm sure the people those are watching this session, they are going to find this insightful and meaningful. They must have understood how actually the shift has happened. Answer my next question to you is actually we all have seen these emerging technologies such as machine learning and artificial intelligence so great promise in help risk managers pinpoint a specific risk and develop faster responses. So my question to you is, do you think these technology can reduce the effort on lower risk areas and help manager focus their energies on real threats, a critical part of the organization?
I think Harsh, your question is pretty apt today and very right. Given the scale and the size of the business operations, the way business is happening in today's world, and the complexities which the business face, no business can escape with the digitalization. I mean, it's the need of the hour. Post-COVID, it has become is a very high path, and on I would say the pedal on the accelerator is very high to put the digital initiatives on the forefront. Earlier, the digitalization was only happening on the product side or the customer experiencing side. Now most of the digitalization, whether AI is happening also on the processes side. A lot of AL initiatives, be it RPAs, robotic process automation, or any other kind of stuff that's happening on the processes. How you streamline your processes better, how you make your processes faster. They respond to your employees better, you engage your employees better, you engage your customers better. How can you take care of these initiatives where the whole idea of initiative is also not to make your present manpower redundant? They must be there, but make them more productive to the business requirements and maybe reskill them to meet the business requirements. Because not the organization, if you continue to work with the same people, they have to be reskilled also to take care of the business needs. So the idea has to be sold well within the organization, and also there has to be buyout within the organization. It has to be top down, not it has to be bottoms up, not top down approach. So where people buy in the idea, yeah, this is the need of the business and need requirement, so we need to do it. And if there is an acceptance and the need to do it, this will definitely be very successful. Similarly, on the product side, there is ML being done. Most of the fintech companies are on the blockchain also now. They are experimenting a lot on blockchain. So whatever we might say, it's going to stay, and going forward, it's going to further, get embedded into your business processes now. You cannot stay out of it.
Right. Exactly. I think it's very hard to disagree with you. And then my next question to you is, the business world has changed dramatically over the last few decades, and now we now live in a connected society where change can be fast-paced, constant, and unpredictable. As you have mentioned, rapid advances in technology have created an environment where the internet, smartphone, and social media are ubiquitous. And the 2008 global financial crisis and this 2019-2020 pandemic have increased the sense of turbulence, danger, and unpredictability in the certain areas. So my question to you is, in your opinion, what are the critical skills required to excel in this fast-paced changing world? I'm sure you have discussed some of the skills like digitization is the need of the hour, but to be specific, what are the skills people need to equip in order to make themselves ready?
So I think people need to have a right attitude first. If you are going to have worked with the organization, and the people who continue to work with the organization presently, they need to have right attitude. They need to unlearn and relearn. Yes. Because the way you have been doing business, the way you have been doing work, you cannot afford and continue to do the same way. The world is changing very fast. World is dynamic. The technologies, high-end technologies, are being adopted into the business, not only on the business side of it, but also on the process side of it, also on the service side of the business, be it finance, be it HR. So people have to be adaptive. People have to have right attitude, and the organization must put in a lot of efforts to, and time and money to reskill the people. Also in that, of course, it's going to be there, and of course the organization needs to have a better risk management system, goes without saying.
Indeed, sir. And actually, you have mentioned a very great point. The world is dynamic, and we need to adopt this. And sir, my next question to you is: we already are actually seeing that great resignation is happening, and many people believe that the future of gig work hold great potential because it tend to be more meaningful and rewarding in more than just the monetary aspects. So my question to you is: how do you see the future of gig economy?
How do you see the future of
Gig economy.
gig economy? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I remember there was a PwC report 2019. We discussed in the one of the panels. I was also participating the future of gig economy, and that time also it was a global report of PwC. So the future mostly lies with the gig economy. People would be working. They also want to work in their free time zones across world within the same country. They want the flexibility of working of the time. So this was prior pandemic. Post pandemic, we have also seen the most of the employees or the organizations have made it possible for employees to work from home. Be it full online models or be it the hybrid models. It's working very successfully for the organization. Certain functions or the part of the business cannot be done online, which are hardcore areas like manufacturing or the project sites, which have to continue. You need to be physically be present with your teams to deliver. But rest of the things and the business service part of it can be done online. It is being done very efficiently now. And if that is the case, I think gig economy is going to stay because people also want better work-life balance and
Right.
better mental health and flexibility to work. So if
Exactly.
that be so, gig economy is here to stay. And also, if you see our latest wage code bills which have been passed by Government of India, they were supposed to be implemented by April of 2021, which has not been implemented due to certain political reasons. Once they implement, those bills already take care for the employers to function in the gig economy with very large flexibilities in terms of hiring and firing. And also for the protection for the employees who also work on gig economy. Even most of the e-commerce companies, they employ a lot of these delivery boys and the delivery staff. So all they are part of the gig economy. They will also be covered by the social security benefits now. So it is already being dealt even at the government level, how to fortify the employees' interests, not only the organization interest. And this great resignation is a new term now. We see great resignation. Yes, people feel they can do something better and maybe work multiple organizations or a contract working in 2 or 3 organizations same time and have the flexibility. So yeah, resignations are happening. This phase is going to stay for some time, mainly because employees have seen that how can they work with their own freedom.
Right. Indeed, sir. And my next question to you is, as you have mentioned in your previous answer, that there is a need for upskilling and reskilling. So, in the face of rapid and continuous change, the need to reskill and upskill entire workforce is one of the most significant challenge we face today and for the foreseeable future. So, what are some recommendations you have to foster reskilling and upskilling entire workforces?
So, I mean, Harsh, when I meant by saying upskilling and reskilling means when you're adopting new technologies into the business area, whether on the shop floor or on the service delivery side of the customer or on the processes side, you need to upskill your teams or the employees in terms of how to handle these technologies. You know, and there will be constant upgrades of these technologies. So even if you have made them aware how to handle it, how to manage it, how to respond within the defined time frames, at times these technology only stay for a year or so. You have constant upgrades, constant the changes. So employees also need to reskill. Usually we have seen this reskilling and upskilling is only taught on the shop floor or on the the project sites or on the technological part of the business, but it's happening in every sphere of the business now. And this is what employees, there has to be constant trainings within the organization or mapping of the employees' training needs with your third party partners, business partners who are capable enough to provide the trainings because organization have very limited bandwidth to provide all these trainings which are happening on the technological side. Process side also you have partners who can be your delivery partners for providing these trainings.
All right, sir. And my next question to you is actually this global pandemic and other recent shared experience have inspired us to ask what else? what are the mindset and skill sets that need to develop? What is the advice from your side to students those who are still in their colleges? What type of skills they must focus or learn in order to make themselves more compatible themselves in this fast-paced changing world?
So I think it's a very broad question. Specifically, I would focus on specifically the students who are passing out from India, because what we have observed is the students coming out of the engineering colleges or from the other technical backgrounds into the industry are at times not adaptive to the industry requirements. All the curriculum and the syllabus is designed on the bookish side of it.
Yes.
So they're missing the practical aspects. One, it requires definitely of late it has changed because a lot of internships are happening between the colleges, through the colleges, between the students and the industry. So during their summer internships and all or other internships period, they get to the industry and see how the work really happens in the business world or the environment. One, of course, this would make them a better person or a better, I would say, employee once they join any workforce to deliver. Second would be, how do they get the global exposure? How are the other universities in the world are doing? Are there any exchange program between the Indian universities and the foreign universities? Or maybe they get exposure in the other part of the world, because the syllabus and the delivery models in the overseas university, foreign universities are much more practical. So they rely on the practical aspect of the study and the course and the curriculum, besides the, of course, the student part of it or the study part of it, which of course has to be there. So either way, both have to be combined well to make them more acceptable to the industry requirements. I think what would go a long way and better is frequent exchanges between the industry and the colleges, the student stream.
Yes. Indeed, sir. And I think you have actually stressed on the important and real aspects we need to understand. And like I said, there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take too much of your time. So moving to my last question of this session, and this is not very much related to the topic, but I want to ask with you, because we have seen more and more Indian businesses are reaching $1 billion valuation and making themselves or achieving the status of unicorn. So, sir, do you think the Indian startups are key to navigating the disruptions?
I think we have a lot of startups now who have already crossed the unicorn. We have unicorns also now following up, unicorns soon, and the Indian industry or the Indian ecosystem, the way now it is become very responsive to the requirements of the startup industry.
Yes.
We are still way behind the way entire US or the European ecosystem is to a startup and get the valuations done. There is far easier than to do it in India. But of late now, what we have seen in the case of the Paytm also, the first of the startup getting listed there, even they posted there was Nika also, and all these startups are doing pretty well. So valuations, whether $1 billion or $2 billion or multi-billion dollar, is a matter of your business performance and how do you project your business, or it is understood. The business understood by the investment public. Paytm is a very good case in it's a very good fintech company, run very well, managed well, had a very good investments, but the share price and the share market is not accepted it well. Maybe they are not able to appreciate because some of these business startups shall continue to be in losses, and they'll be cash burnout for quite some time. So this is the traditional way of thinking, that the business has to make profit and always do well, is not in the startup cases. In the West or other part of the world, it is accepted that the new startup companies will make some losses or some amount of non-operational losses, or even at the net profit level, they will be lost for quite some time, and they are still valued high. So here the valuations have gone down post-listing. So you need to recalibrate your thinking, how the new business has to work in the ecosystem, and we all need to support that. And India, I think, is learning from its mistakes and has changed very fast now, and new rules and laws are being brought in by the government to handle the startup business in the ecosystem also.
Indeed, sir. I think this was really a very great answer. And you have mentioned one point which I like the most, is that we have to shift our thinking from the traditional way of thinking that startups should or companies should always make profit. And we need to understand this. Really a great point you have mentioned, and I'm very much impressed, and I'm sure the people those who are watching this session, they are also going to understand this. And thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. It was a kind of a healthy conversation with you over the topic, and we look forward to conduct more sessions with you in future.
Thank you, Harsh. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone.